Hey guys, this is Jim here with another Vinyl Kaiju review. Again, we have a subscriber request for the Toho Eiga 1962 Kingoji. To explain this figure a little bit, you have to look at the Kaiyodo build-up kit, which is actually what this is based on. This figure itself being an actual Chinese knockoff. So this is not a legitimate Toho approved release, despite what this sticker on the bottom of the foot might tell you. This is indeed a knockoff. If I remember right, they were sold for about $10 on some retail sites some years ago, which for a figure like this is actually a pretty cool deal because although it's a knockoff, they managed to keep a lot of the detail and the transfer from the kit to this figure. So to get into reviewing the figure itself, setting aside any moral qualms you might have about buying bootlegs, this figure has quite a lot of awesome detail on it. As you can see, it's got facial detail that really gets the 1962 Godzilla just about right. The level of sculpting on this, or mimicry of the sculpting from the Kaiyodo kit, it's actually quite high. There's a good amount of detail in the face. The spines have kind of pock marks, like you would expect to see on a suit of this sort. The skin texture is well done throughout. And one of the things I like best about this figure is the immensely long tail. It really looks like the tail that you see in the movie, which is something a lot of vinyl figures tend to skimp on. They don't quite have the tail that you see in the movie, but this one most definitely does. Now, one thing it doesn't have much of is articulation. The legs are rather stiff, they can move a little bit, and the tail does rotate, but there's not a lot of point to that. It looks best right about in that position. But nonetheless, it's a cool display piece. Another thing I like about it is its scale. Whereas the 6-inch memorial box Godzilla that Bandai made is arguably even a nicer figure than this. It doesn't really scale up very well with the Bandai King Kong that came out years earlier in the 8-inch line. This one, however, matches up pretty nicely with Bandai King Kong. Now, is it perfect? Maybe not, but I think it's about right. Kong is just a hair taller, but considering Godzilla's bulk, that puts him at a pretty even match, much like they were in the movie. Okay, so to give you a 6-inch figure to compare to, here is the Bandai 1968 Godzilla. So as you can see, it is about an inch, maybe half an inch to an inch taller than the Bandai figure. So that puts it in a different scale, so it's going to match up nicely with the Kong, but not with the 6-inch and not quite with most of the 8-inch figures either. Now, to get to some imperfections about this figure, if you'll look at the back here, for example on this fin, which is kind of loose and a little bit misaligned, I would say, you can actually see a little bit of glue slop. There's also some stray spots of paint on the body, right here on this his leg. And some of the seams, for example on the neck right here, don't quite match up right. Just a little bit off. Now, this is nitpicking, considering I actually got this figure in a lot, and I was buying something else in it, more specifically. This kind of just came along, as well as the Final Wars X Seijin. So this was like a bonus figure, and if you bought it when it was $10, similarly, you got a pretty cool deal for the price. So all in all, the Toho Eiga Kingoji, I would recommend it if you can find it for a reasonable price. I'm actually really glad to have this one. It's tough to find a Kingoji in a realistic style at a reasonable price, and that's what this is, bootlegging aside. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review.